Got a Whirlpool Gold French door refrigerator we're looking at today. What's going on is in the freezer, it's cooling somewhat. It's not as cold as it should be, but in the fresh food section, it's not cooling at all. First thing you want to look at, and is what our issue is we got a defrost issue. What you do is you look in the freezer, see if you see any ice built up on that back wall. And if you see any ice there, and it's cased up that whole area down there, defrost issue, and that's what we're covering in this video. So if that's what you're here for, just stay tuned. Here it is. This is the Whirlpool Gold French door refrigerator. I'm going to open up this freezer, and we're going to look at this back wall. We're going to see a layer of frost, and then also through that grate down there, you can see some frost through the grate. If you have this on your refrigerator, that is an indicator that you have a defrost issue. Could be your defrost heater, could be your defrost terminator, or in this case, it's going to be the control board or the defrost timer. So we're going to get into that now. First thing we're going to do is we're going to pop off the control panel. So you open up the left and right hand doors, take off the light cover, and then we're going to get this control panel out by sticking a screwdriver up there and releasing the tabs to open up this control panel. And you guys are going to see it right now. I know this is a bad angle and you guys don't know what I'm doing, but this screwdriver is pointing back towards you, and the tabs you push in back towards you, and then it flips down. And then this is what it looks like from the front after the clips have been removed. And we're going to turn power off here in a second, and we're going to test the wires that go to your heater and that go to your defrost terminator. We're going to check those with our meter, so you will need a meter that will test ohms, and we'll get into that here in a second. But what you want to do is find the J1 connector on the jazz board here. That's what they call that control board there, and that right there is your J1. You want to find the orange, the brown, and the white wires. Here's a little schematic for you, and what we're going to be doing is testing pin 5 to pin 3, and that'll tell us what our defrost terminator is, if it's closed or if it's open. If it's open, meaning an open line with all that ice down there, you got yourself a bad defrost terminator. For your heating element, you can test it from pin 3 to pin 1. If your defrost terminator is closed, you can go from pin 5 to pin 1. If it's open, you can test the heater just by going from pin 3 to pin 1, and I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Yeah, guys, so just remember that that brown, that orange, and that white wire. Those are the wires we're going to be testing, and I'll actually show you. There's going to be a video of it coming up here in a second. This schematic here is just for you electronically inclined folks that know what this means. This will give you a visual of what we're about to test, and yeah, it should help you guys out. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get into testing it in the real world. Right here, let me get this light situated so we can actually see a little bit. That board there, that is called the jazz board, if I haven't mentioned it already. And that right there is the connector J1. And we're going to find that brown, that orange, and that white wire. You're going to need a meter for this, one that tests ohms. So yeah, go ahead and get that meter out. And you can test these without having to take that freezer apart. So first thing we're going to do, test the brown and the orange, and that is your defrost terminator, and we're looking for a closed line. And a closed line is 0.0 ohms or 0.1, 0.2, you know, something along those lines. And that's what we want to see. If you see something like 100 ohms or 400 ohms, that's a bad defrost terminator, and boom, you know what your problem is. But right here, got a good defrost terminator. So now we're going to go from pin 3 to pin 1, which is the orange and the white, and that is going to test the heating element only. And what you want here is somewhere around 30 ohms. I think in this one we get like 28.8, and doing this with two hands is a lot easier than doing it with one. So I'm going to have a little trouble actually connecting these leads to the wires. So just bear with me a little bit. But we're going to see 28 ohms here in a second. Boom, 28.8. We got a good heater, and we got a good defrost terminator. So we know pretty much the only thing left. Well, we've also tested the wiring too, you guys. So we know the wiring's good, your heater's good, your defrost terminator's good. What's left? The jazz board or your defrost timer or whatever. But I know what the problem is. So we're going to get this thing back together. Got the part ordered, and we're going to come back another day. But before we get into that, I'm going to show you guys how to force defrost this thing. So y'all stay tuned for that. Just going to get this light cover back on. And what's going to happen, I'm going to show you guys how to do it, and then I'm going to give you a step-by-step process where you guys can pause it and actually do it yourself if you guys like following instructions. If you need to see it, just rewind the video and do it over again. But it's going a little bit too fast for me to actually tell you how to do it. But boom, she's in a long defrost, and here's the instructions. Alright, now our fridge is in a forced defrost right now, and we're going to make sure, you know, everything's working, your heater and all that. So I got a fast forward video here for you. This was probably maybe a 10-12 minute video of this ice melting, but this is a fast version where that ice is just slowly melting away. So yes, our heater and our defrost terminator do work, and our jazz board is what we need to replace. So we're going to get into that here soon. Alright, we got a new jazz board. The customer went ahead and defrosted it for us. One other thing, if you guys get the jazz board, or if you guys have it, you guys have to get rid of that ice so this thing will work properly. But this one was in the garage of this customer, so he went ahead and defrosted it for us while we ordered that board and came back to put it in. But yeah, we know what the problem is, so we're just going to get in here and replace this board and program it. It's not a plug and play, so you have to program it. And once you get it off and put it back together, you got to read the code on the right hand side of the data plate, and it'll program it to a certain way that this thing's supposed to work. Certain code for each models, because you know some models have different things in it. So yeah, once you got that panel down like we did earlier in the video, there's just some tabs holding on the board, and you just pull those tabs up and it'll break that board free. And then we're going to get the new board, and the new board, it comes flat. You'll have to break it. You see how that one was in two pieces? This one here is in one piece, and you'll have to break it to make it look like that. So that's what it's supposed to look like. And whenever I take this off, you'll see what I'm talking about. And the board is one flat piece, and you see that crease where that wire harness, that gray harness, goes between the two of them. You want to break it along that line. I like to use this ESD bag and just snap it. Boom, there it is. You don't want to do it too hard. You want to be careful, but then eventually it breaks. But hopefully you guys don't break it where it's not supposed to be broke. But anyways, mirror it up with your old jazz board, bending it, you know, the same way. Then we're going to get the new jazz board in the same way, or the opposite way you took it out. And yeah, then we're going to program it. So I'm just going to let you guys watch this for a little bit, and I'll chime back in a little bit later. Alright, just for fun, we're going to test the defrost terminator. And she is open, which is what you want when there's no ice around. But if you guys have ice around and it's open like this, that's a bad defrost terminator. But in this case, it's doing what it's supposed to do because it's not cooling at all down there. And then you go from 3 to 1 to test the heater. And this is what you'd see if you guys have a bad defrost terminator, again with ice still on your evaporator. It's either that or it's the wiring that's messed up, but most likely it's going to be the defrost terminator. But this is a good heater still, so yeah, this should work like a champ for him. But yeah, this is just for fun. That's what a bad defrost terminator looks like when you test it with an ohm meter. But again, in this situation, it's warm enough where it's supposed to be closed. But anyways, got the board in, closing everything back up, and then we got a programmer. And programming it is very similar to putting it in a forced defrost, but instead of you working on the right hand side, you're going to be working on the left hand side. So your right hand door is going to be closed, you're going to hold the left hand door switch, and you're going to hit freezer down 3 times instead of refrigerator down 3 times. But alright, we got this thing plugged up and we got that 0, 0. That means we got to get that code off that right hand wall, and on this one it's code 1, 2. So we got to put that code in before this refrigerator will work properly. So we're going to do it on the left hand side, pretty much opposite of the forced defrost. Change it to 1, 2, and we're going to hold it. We got blinking lights, and this is the actual procedure for it. But once you guys close the doors and you guys open the doors back up, or if you hold the door switches like I'm about to do, those 1 or that 1 and the 2 will both change to 4s. And that's pretty much how you know it's programmed. So that's it. If this video's helped, give me a like, subscribe, and I truly appreciate everybody watching and all your comments and everything. I'm getting more and more comments as I get more videos out there, and it's a lot harder for me to reply to those. So I will promise I will do what I can, though. So I do appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.